Good morning. Hope all is well. And that you are having a great start to your morning. Sorry for all the scratching sounds. We are going to go ahead and get started a little bit early. Good morning, a royal diadem. Let's take a look real quick in the chat box. Kind of had made a request if anybody had tickers that they wanted looked at, and Michelle dropped in GM and NVIDIA. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Tamar. So we're going to take a look at GM first. And as usual, I start off looking from the top down. It is on a recent run up. So it just broke past, well, it's breaking past some of these most recent high points. So I'm just gonna mark where it's turned around before and mark it in blue. Blue is my color for monthly, right? So this is where it's turned around before. This is where it has visited this price. Back here, you can see where it was this price point was resistance, so it broke through, resistance again, really in here. So this is a point where, it breaking up through this zone could be significant for it. Then the next major one where it turned around was up here. That's where I see that one being. There's a whole bunch of lines you can put on a chart, but if I'm just looking at where it turned around, where prices turned around, it would be those. Oh, she was saying GM meaning good morning, not GM meaning General Motors. That's funny. Okay. I was wondering, but we in it now, so so we're gonna do the weekly. And so what I'm seeing for the weekly, obviously these points are the strong turnaround points. So they're the same for the weekly and the monthly. So right now it's trying to break up past that as well. It has been basing right here. It's been moving to the side for a while now. Right here is where I see the zone for General Motors. So I'll put this in here in yellow. Yellow is my color for weekly. And this one I'll just chart this way just because I see such a strong zone there. And then, and actually, you know what? I'll do it a turnaround because that's going to put too many lines on there when we get to the daily. But so this is where the seller zone is right here, this zone. And then actually the next one that I would do would be here. I guess you could mark something here, but it based here for a while. And so there's a lot of things you could do in this section, but I'll probably put it right about there because that's where it could be either here or here, or both. But either way, it's going to be quite a few of them in this base. So, That's yeah. So I would look at that as leg in, base, leg out. You may even be able to go right here and do it, but this is the one that sticks out the most in terms of the weekly. At least that's the one that I see. And then this would be the daily chart. And again, there's a couple things you can do here. I see a chair right here. Leg in, base, leg out. So on the daily chart, this is broken past its most recent high point. This is not all-time highs. This is just recent, the most recent high. So I'll be looking to see if this comes back down and retests this. Because this blue line is the monthly. So that's a strong monthly price point. So I'll be looking to see if it retests that. And then let's go right here for the daily. And I'll just do something like that for the daily. On my chart, daily is green. And then leg in, there's a base there, leg out, and it's pushing up, and it's pushing up past the most recent. Scroll back. Depending on how you want to chart this, everybody may do this one different. But the first thing I see is leg in, base, leg out. Sometimes with these, though, this middle candle to me, I almost feel like this should be included because it's the same length, but because it's the same, almost as long as the one next to it, really. But the way the price action looks, but you don't have too many other choices. Then once you start, moving it down and moving it down, you end up doing too much. But just from what I can just see right away, leg in, base, leg out on a quick glance. And this is where, so let me show you this. If we were to go with this version of it, where we bring this down, and let's just say you use that as a small leg in, 2 in the base and a leg out, all it would mean is that it'll look like it went into this zone further. That's all that means. But if you have a preference of less risk up here, leg in, base, leg out. And for those of you that are familiar with the term, price will not have been revisited yet. Right there. So here's your buyer zone, seller zone. That's how I would do that. Let's see here. Lady T, we got you. You on Google. Good morning, Alyssa. Marsha Dawson, good morning. Johnny Goodwin, I will definitely get to your question in a second. Now, Lady T, do you want Google, Goog, or do you want Googl? Because there is 2 of them. All right. So buyer zone, seller zone, even though we were saying good morning, she did not mean General Motors, and that is fine. We got one under our belt for this morning. All right. Okay, so she wants Goog for sure. Okay, no L, gotcha. All right. We got open bell that's about to kick off in a second, and then we will definitely swing back in that direction. So here's what's going down with NVIDIA. It's on a crazy run up. There's no doubt about that. This is all-time highs. A second ago, I was talking about on GM, that's opening bell. I was talking about on GM, we looked to the left, and there was, even though it was at a high point, there was more to the left. There were higher points that you can go up for your seller zone. Well, with this one, this is all-time highs. That other one had just went past recent highs. When it gets this high, we can see that it hit a level on the monthly chart, but it doesn't have a seller zone that's set on the monthly chart yet. So there's nothing for us to even look at a chart. So this right here looks like it's trying to do something. This would be, I would look at this as a buyer zone right here, leg in, base, leg out right there. But there's nothing that's up above it, right? I can see Johnny's question, Marlissa. I'm not sure if another one was posted, but I can see it. For the daily, then this is popping in here today. We are currently forming a candle. It gapped up. Nvidia gapped up a little bit, but it is so high right now that it's still working on finding its levels as far as I'm concerned. So it doesn't really have a seller zone yet. unless you start counting what I understand as advanced zones. It's not something that I do, but I'm familiar enough with it. And so what will happen is, so let's say this price action, this higher point where the wick went, you can highlight that in a square and just go down to a 4-hour chart and look for your square. Now I see on the 4-hour chart, I see a zone right here, which is the one that looks like it may be bouncing off right now. So I'm gonna mark that. So this is the 4-hour chart, and all we did was just went down from daily to the 4-hour to see if we could find a seller zone, since it's at its all-time highs and it has retested, or shall I say, done a pullback before on the 4-hour. So this would be one seller zone, and this is where price is bouncing off of currently. And then the one that I actually highlighted would be the next one up above that, and this is that high point. So leg in, base, leg out. And I'm gonna make these two different colors, or shall I say two different styles. Since this one is the zone that is pretty much in, put those dotted lines on there. So this is the first one in terms of seller zone, leg in, 2 in the base, leg out. This is the next one up, leg in, 2 in the base, leg out. And I looked on the 4-hour to find that. And so this is what it would look like on the daily chart. So those are the two zones that I see as being in there. So this was the highlighted one, and this is the one that's right below it. And then in terms of a buyer zone, again, we're still on the daily chart. In terms of a buyer zone, the most recent buyer zone I see is this one. So that's the one that we would mark. And I'm just marking that green because I'm looking at the daily zone. And it's been revisited a couple times though. This would be considered 2 revisits, depending on how you learned how to trade. And then Nvidia has a gap right here. So this is considered choppy. This is considered it being choppy right now on this chart because these levels are not clear. It's not moving up in the straight direction or down, but it's kind of basing to the side. So that's something to look at on Nvidia. And we'll so I have a buyer zone here, first seller zone, 4-hour chart, second seller zone, 4-hour chart. So I will look at. Okay. Let us get started on our regularly scheduled program. And we will get back to some more charting as we go. Dow futures currently up 0.33%. S&P futures up 0.53%, and NAS futures up 1.04%. The stock futures rise as S&P 500 tops 5,200 level for the first time. For Europe, DAX up 0.39%. FTSE up 0.157%. CAC is the only one down. I believe that's France. FTSE Milano is up 0.20%, and Stock 600 is up 0.61%. Europe stocks gain as Stock 600 hits record high. SNB cuts rates. Bank of England decision to come. Asia is mostly up. The Nikkei hits fresh all-time high as Asia stocks rise after the Fed maintains rate forecast. ASX 200 is Australia, 1.12%. It is up. Nikkei is up 2.03%. Kospi is up 2.41%, which is the most. HSI, Hong Kong is up 1.93%, and Shanghai is the only one down, but only by a little, 0.8%. When we last reported for the U.S. for this morning so far, this is not the futures. This is the main Dow Jones Industrial Average is currently up 0.48%. S&P 500 is up 0.52%. NASDAQ is up 0.84%. Russell 2K is up the most, 1.92%. The VIX is down right now, down 2.45%. It's at 12.72. Yesterday, the days before, I think it got as high as maybe 15, maybe. I know it's a little bit higher, up in that 1450 range. So that's what's happening with that. Let's take a look at the calendar. The calendar for today. 8:30, we had unemployment claims. Red folder. It was neutral impact, or shall I say, the actual and the forecast were closer together. Philly Fed Manufacturing Index was an orange folder, and that was good for the economy for its results. The forecast was that it would be down, I guess, negative 2.6. Current account was a yellow folder. It was good. We got coming up at 9:45, Flash Manufacturing PMI and Flash Services PMI. Both of those are red folders. We have existing home sales, which is an orange folder. That's at 10 o'clock. And then CB Leading Index month over month is a yellow folder, also at 10 o'clock. 10:30, we got natural gas storage. And then at noon, FOMC member Barr speaks. So there's a little bit of everything kind of sprinkled out. Our 10 o'clock turnaround, as we call it, is, going to be interesting because we have red and orange folders while things are currently trying to run up. I actually had this set. Let's see here. I'm going to clear all. We're going to look at what investing.com has to say. And investing.com always has more going on than Forex Factory calendar. There's a lot more details. So we got with them 8:30 continuing jobless claims was 2 stars. That looks good. Current account fourth quarter 2 stars. That looked good. Initial jobless claims was 3 stars. That came up good. 1 star for the jobless claims 4-week average. That was okay because it didn't negatively affect anything. Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index was good. That was 3 stars. Then we had a run of neutral for the Philly Fed. You had the business conditions for March, the CapEx index, employment, new orders, and prices paid all for March. What's coming up in 4 minutes is going to be the S&P Global US Manufacturing PMI for March. That's 3 stars. S&P Global Composite, the global services PMI, all for March. That's 2 and 3 stars, respectively. Then we have the existing home sales month over month for February. That's 2 stars. That's happening in 19 minutes. The existing home sales for February, 3 stars. The U.S. leading index month over month in February is 2 stars. Then in 49 minutes, that's when we're back to gas storage. At 11:30, we got the 4-week bill auction and the 8-week bill auction, both 1 stars. Natural gas storage is 1 star over here. Fed Vice Chair for Supervision Barr speaks at noon. That's 2 stars over here. I think it was a yellow folder on the other one. At 1 o'clock, we got the 10-year tips auction, 2 stars. And then 4:30, Fed balance sheet, 2 stars. And then the reserve balances with the Federal Reserve banks is 1 star. So we got a little bit of stuff sprinkled out all the way up until the close. So this, even though it's running up green right now for this morning, that does not mean that nothing's going to happen for the rest of the afternoon once the push finishes. Adam Mancini, long runners continue to pay out massively in SPX all week. 52.32 to 37 was the macro target, as long as 51.67 to 73 held. And we got there. Nothing to do but keep riding it. Plan today, 52.52 is the resistance. As long as you're above 52.32 to 37, base out. Then 52.67, which is major, 52.76 is next. If you dip below 52.32, heading down to 52.12. All right. So 52.32 through 37 is the base. So let's take care of that. I'm gonna switch to SPX. And I like to do mine on a 15-minute chart when I add this information. So we'll do that. All right, so we'll do this rectangle to work. Whoops. Let's see. We'll do 52. 52. Okay, that's about right there. Actually. 52.37 and 52.32. So what I'm doing is just marking. I'm just using this rectangle to mark where the zone is that he is mentioning. 52.32. That's about right there. And we go 52.37, about right there. Right, close. Then just change the color on this because we need this to be the middle section. So every time I look at the chart, I know that this is the zone that he is mentioning. All right. Now the other thing we could do as well is we can say, well, if this dips to 52.32 or dips through there, then 52.12, which could be the lowest point. And then you could do 52.12 and I would say 52.76. That'll be the lowest and the highest. So you can always add that in there. We'll just add that in there, 52.12. Do it that way. 52. That's 52.12. And we put that on the chart. Something like that. Right. And then 52.76. Add that on there. Now, go to look at the chart. You can see where everything is happening, right? And then the only thing that's left for us to do while we're here is we're gonna mark the 15-minute. 15-minute time frame. So the first candle is already started forming. We've done the first chunk of the 15-minute right here, right? So I'm going to mark this as Mancini. As it's above, we'll just put Mancini on it, and we'll show price and the name on the right, and do the same thing down here. All right. I'm only doing this so that when I keep coming back to the chart, we'll know where our levels are. And I almost want to call this the point of no return right here, but that's really what I'll put Mancini. I'll put linchpin on here because it is hanging on the thread for that. All right. All right. So right now we got a little bit of action from the buyers and the sellers for our first 15-minute candle. There's really no decision right there. That small body right there means that both sides are pushing up or down at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out, at least while we're on the call. So those are the numbers that we have. We got earnings. So yesterday after close, we had some stuff. Micron definitely was in the news on yesterday because we were talking about earlier in the week, NVIDIA. So NVIDIA did their conference. I think it was the GTC conference. I believe it was on Monday or it was last week, but I know it was recent. I watched it. It was probably the first time I watched something that long, but it was definitely fascinating. But Micron is in that same space. And so semiconductor stocks, like a lot of other things, have a tendency to trade together. So Micron is make some noise over there as well with what they got going on. So they were definitely in the on CNBC this morning. Before the open today, we have two Intuitive Machines. There was Accenture, Sundial, Academy Sports Outdoors, Darden Restaurants, Biozoom, FactSet, Excentia, Lufax, and Mink. We have quite a few China-based reportings today. After close, we have Nike, Lululemon, FedEx. We've got Direct Holdings, AAR, Vitru Education, Ascensus Surgical, HireQuest, Hyperfine, and Telebio. Between these two, there's a lot of sector ETF, which would be XLV, XLP for consumer staples. XLV is healthcare. XLP is consumer staples. XLY is in there for consumer discretionary. There's a little bit of everything in there. So, and then XLK for tech. So with these three kind of being the standouts for their respective sectors, I would expect to see what's happening with them in the news for the next 24 hours. Options 411, 6 weeks live options coaching. Let's let go of the guesswork, embrace expert guidance for options trading mastery. All right, starts April 1st. Educator to trader.com. You can register now. All right, that is what has been at the bottom scrolling. Taught by Arlissa Pinkleton, the head coach. Be learning, be covering opening accounts, navigating platforms, understanding the lingo. Learn charting, selling strategies, and create your trading plan. To me, creating the trading plan is just as vital as learning the charting. Good morning, Nangali. Rabushi. All right. And see. Johnny Goodwin was asking earlier, just to get into your mind, what's your game plan for the rest of the week? And do you set goals of how much money you want to make and how often you reach them? Hope that's not too forward to ask. Man, you can ask whatever you like. My game plan for the week is probably since you asked, my game plan for the week, I really don't do it for the whole week. I kind of do it day by day. Since everything is running up, my first instinct is to say, because I sell, so I'm looking for opportunities to do put credit spreads. That's the only thing that I see to make sense, like right off the bat, because this is just the daily chart. Normally, to get this kind of run on an angle like that, you have to be on the monthly chart to see that much information. This is a crazy run. This is since October. I'm back here at October 23. It's been a straight run right here. So to try to do a bunch of call credit spreads, right? Because call credit spread means you expecting the price to go down. You can do them, but it made more sense to, do put credit spreads. I mean, there's a whole lot of buyer zones in here. So I look at it like I should probably be focusing on the put credit spreads for right now, depending on what you're looking at. Obviously, this is SPX. Me and SPX are not on good terms right now. Some stuff happened that I don't want to talk about, but just know that if I could take her to court, I would. But that's what I will be focusing on is doing put credit spreads. I don't buy calls and puts solo like that. However, I have been seeing that people who do just buy calls straight are doing well, as Mancini was talking about. But for me personally, I'll be looking at doing looking at put credit spreads, put credit spreads, and yeah, I'll be looking at, a lot of stuff is running up right now, so to be on the safe side, that's what I'll be doing. So to answer the question, but yeah, me and SPX is not on good terms. All right, so we're on the 15-minute chart, and we have not had a breakout yet in terms of the price, so we're still watching that. Also, I'm meant to put this on here, but it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. I meant to acknowledge that it did gap up this morning. That's what this purple line is, the gap. So there was a gap up from here and here. So this right here is where Mancini is saying we needed to, this is the point of no return. So if it starts dipping in here and falling through, it could be hitting right here to 512, 5212. But it did gap up, and it's, pushing back down through that gap. Okay. No problem, Johnny. Thanks for asking. Appreciate that. We got, so I think we did NVIDIA. VDA. Then we'll take care of Google. And then, so let's go. We're gonna look at the daily chart. I can't remember if I did a video already, so I want to check that. Yes, that's the one we did first. Okay, so we'll do Google. See what Google has to say. Google is teaming up with Apple. They're gonna be doing some web-based stuff with Apple, so that's gonna be interesting. What I'm seeing here, there was a gap up. And actually, let me take a step back. Go to monthly first. So this is what it's doing on the monthly. It's trying to get up there past its high point, which, to be honest with you, if you look at most of the tech stocks, you're going to see that as well. Um, I mean, if we looked at the triple Q, we will see probably the same thing. Triple Q being Nasdaq. We probably see the exact same thing. That's what it's doing. So what I'm marking here is just the places where it recently turned around. All right. And so it turned around here, turned around up here. So it's breaking through this high here. I won't do the rest of them because we're already up here and it's already close, but we go to the weekly, got a nice buyer zone right here. Leg in, base, leg out. So that's a nice buyer zone there. And then it's already in the seller zone currently. Leg in, base, leg out. And it also on the weekly has been trading sideways for a while. So what I'm seeing is if Google gapped up, even on the weekly chart, it gapped up noticeably. But if this is the weekly price point right here, 148 zone, if it gapped up, this looks like it can be retesting that on the weekly chart. So if it retests successfully and starts pushing out, it could very well head up. Obviously, it could also fall through, but so this is the retest I was talking about. So we're on the daily chart right now, and it retested, it pushed up, and then it gapped up right here for today. So on this chart, what I would do is just regularly chart the daily. I'm okay with using this as a small leg in, one in the base, and this is a gap up right here for the leg out. So that's a strong gap up. Because this price action right here, because this went up through, some people, but everybody's different on this, will consider this full, meaning they would consider that this gap is already full because price action went through there, right? So when it gapped down, eventually it came up and it stopped right here. So that left this space in here, okay? So some people, because this price went through here, they will consider that this is a gap that has been filled. Other people prefer to go with when the body of the candle fills it up, then it's considered filled. I personally think that it depends on your perspective. There is no right or wrong answer, but I will say that whichever way you choose, just try to be consistent with it, so that you're sharpening what you see, you know, and not flip-flopping. Sometimes you got to do one or the other, but you know, definitely try to be consistent with it. So if I'm doing this, I would just do leg in right here. I will have 3 in the base and then a leg out because I like taking advantage of a strong leg out. So these are just, that's the formation that I would be charting in the seller zone. I consider price action have gone through this gap area. So I consider that gap filled. So that's the main reason why I'm going up here for my seller zone. So I have the buyer zone here, leg in, small leg in, base, leg out, seller zone up here, leg in, base, leg out. So I'll be watching that. So now, for those who consider the body of the candle to be what fills the gap, then that means that, you know, for them, this is not a filled space right here. Probably would, I would say you may even look at this one as a leg in, base, leg out right here for a chair formation. So it would still be in the seller zone regardless. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the conclusion that we want to make sure we're drawing, that it's in that seller zone. So that's what I consider that to be for right now for that. We know that there are sellers here because this gap down was pushed down by the sellers. So we know that this is a seller's gap. Would not be as a surprise if it, bounces and keeps pushing off a little bit, but that's what I see right there. So today's price action gapped up. So there's a gap under today's price from yesterday, and then the one that is, possibly fighting through. So that's the way I see that. But I will put the overarching lines up here and down and right here. All right. That's what I'm looking at right there. All right. So I know how they say journal things. I'm reading in the chat box. I know Johnny Goodwin. I know how they say journal with things go right and wrong in your trading. I know you joked about SPX taking them to court, but is there anything you can do in the future to catch that? So, well, first things first. Ngali was asking, I think that was Ngali, would the Iron Condor work for Google? As far as I'm concerned, I can't see why it wouldn't. I think it would depend on what the premiums would be. But looking at the daily chart, yeah, it would be. I would say 139 down here, where I feel like it's safe, was probably not going to be as good a premium, but I would be looking to do above this and probably below this, but 140 is probably going to be too low if you're trying to go for tomorrow. Let me see. Yeah, there's no premiums at 140, so you probably need to do 148 to even see anything that looks interesting. Yeah, but more than likely you might have to. It's 149. So yeah, you still be here up in this area. Like I said, I started investigating where the furthest point is based on the chart, and then I try to wind my way forward to see where it is from there. But yeah, I don't see why Iron Condor wouldn't work with all this resistance up here, what it's fighting through. The CCS would be more than likely more premiums. This is 152. 152. What is this for 22nd? Yeah, so above it. The volatility right now, the implied volatility is 2 points. So if we added that to the current price, that would be about 152.45. So you want to be above 152.45, which would be here. But it's just real close at 80% out the money. So there's an 80% chance that trade would be profitable, or more accurate to say 80% that it would close out the money. So that's one way of looking at that. But of course, I do credit spreads, so the premium would probably be $19. Let's do 19. Let's see. Yeah, $20. So, but yes, doing the Iron Condor is not out the question. In this case, so 148 would be on the other side. And all I did was just subtracted 2 points from 150. So it's about 9. You can always increase that to 10 and let it sit to see if it'll pick up. But for what? Now, the only thing to watch out for, though, when you're dealing with Google, and sometimes you will see this, but it is important. If you're going to go for, like in this case, if you look at the spread is 2.5 when you get up higher over here, but over here the spread is only 1. Okay, 1 versus 2.5. So in other words, 252, 152.5. If you're gonna do a credit spread, this is 2.5. 155 minus 152.5 is 2.5, but 149 minus 148 is only 1. Well, in order for you to get the same, to use your collateral and use your collateral, both sides need to have the same spread. That's my understanding. So that would be the only thing that I would be watching out for in this situation. If you got the collateral to do both sides, and that's a totally different thing. But if you on a budget, you understand, then you want to get more bang for your buck. All right. So, and my brain always thinks in terms of getting the 2-for-1 deal. So I'm trying to do iron condor if I can. All right. So we got right now, the breakout has not occurred as of yet, but we do see a consistency. Remember, this is a buyer's gap. So when it gapped up, this is all buyers pushing that up. So we see that when it has come down twice so far, buyers have pushed it up. Again, doesn't mean it's going to do that all day. And we got some stuff happening pretty soon for our 10 o'clock turnaround. So in terms of so I'm answering the question that Johnny had. Anything you can do to catch that? And when I journal, and I need to, I'm really am working on being more consistent with my journaling. What I've been journaling recently is trying to figure out, where the misstep could be. And so what I've been doing is making sure I put in the journal, just since I do out the money, I usually will put my delta in there. And now I'm really doing like about 80% delta or a little bit. I'm sorry, I'm saying the wrong thing. Probability out the money, and I'm usually doing about 80% out the money. That's where I kind of start looking to see where I want to go. And then I also look at the delta. Normally I'm doing delta 13, but I'm trying to finesse my way into doing a little bit higher delta because it's a little bit more premiums, but I'm not trying to get all the way close where it's greedy. So no more than 20 delta. And I prefer my probability out the money to be about 80%. The reason why I'm choosing those numbers is because I at least have a chance of getting a decent premium, but also it's easier for me to consistently track what I was using. Because I figure if these are the probabilities, then that's a good way to at least know, okay, that percentage is not working or that delta may not be working, and I try to go from there. Outside of that, the other thing that I know that I need to be better with is the entries. And today or yesterday, I was looking at something online that was explaining price action and retesting. And the one thing that I think I have been missing that I definitely have to add is whenever a retest is happening, I need to be aware of, basically, usually when I set my alarms to get into a trade, or if I think something is going to get breached, I just need to add an alarm when I see a retest, when I see an area where a retest could occur. So this is a good example. So this is where price turned around right here. So at some point down the line, it's going to come back to this line. And if it bounces off, right, and consistently bounces off and heads up, then that means that that's a trade I could possibly take going in that direction, especially if it's a strong one. But since this was a previous level, once it gapped up, that means that this is going to be support at some point. And so I need to put in an alert when I see this turnaround right here, put in an alert to go back and watch it. So then that way I can come back to it, see if it's retesting, headed in that direction, as opposed to me just, putting in the trade, looking at all the numbers, they look fine, but then not knowing if it's retesting right away, then I have to maneuver it. So, making adjustments to my trade is the next step to be able to avoid some of the missteps. But that's just a honest answer as to how I would catch that. So at the very least, if I have those alerts going to tell me, hey man, you might want to be paying attention to this. Maybe I can maneuver sooner than I normally would. So I hope that answers the question, but that's what I'm going for moving forward. So we haven't got outside of our 15-minute yet, but I got a feeling that once 10:30 hits, that time frame hits, we're gonna start seeing something is gonna start happening. We don't know what, but so existing home sales was a good report. U.S. leading index month over month for February was good, and then we have noon, 1 o'clock. Those are the next 2-star events on investing.com, and then Flash manufacturing services. Let me refresh this. Okay, so 10:30 yellow folder, 12 o'clock. So we got 2 more. This could very well be an Iron Condor day. Who knows? But it's definitely not as I guess you could say volatile as was expected. So we're gonna circle back to our latest information. The VIX is still dropping. It is at 1.84% to $12.80, or 12.80, I should say. Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 0.63%. S&P 500 is up 0.61%. NASDAQ is up 0.76%, and Russell 2K is up 0.95%. So everybody is up around the same amount or higher. Again, our challenge, Options 411 6-week live coaching, that is in the banner. Definitely something I believe is worth the investment. Starts April 1st. And you will learn especially about charting, which we've been doing on these calls as well, and the trading plan. Create your own trading plan. Our E2T declaration. By faith, I am a successful trader. I am a wise and knowledgeable trader. I make smart and lucrative decisions for my portfolio. Money likes me. Is that dinero me encanta? Because money is comfortable around me, it is drawn to me. E2T Daily Prayer. Lord, give us wisdom and knowledge for our trades today. Help us to make smart and lucrative decisions for our portfolios. All right, people. We got stuff happening all the way up at the very least until noon, and then things happening right at the closing bell. So definitely tread lightly, but market charts, put your alerts on to watch and see what's going to go down throughout the day. All right. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to register, educatedthetrader.com, and also check out the other products that are available on the website as well. All right. Thank y'all so much for swinging by. We truly appreciate it. Hopefully we will see you on the morrow. If not, we will see you in the market. All right. Hasta la vista.